So let's get into the awards then, which is more straightforward because you're judging what you've seen, not predicting what you think you might see. Best player. Was this an easy one for both of you?
Yeah, so easy. I mean, he'll win every award, I would imagine. PFA, Football Writers, ours. Not that ours is outlying, but yeah, he's the best player in the league by a mile this season.
Why is it always the striker, the goal scorer? Could it have been Virgil van Dijk?
Listen, it could have been. I think if you were asking me who'd come next, I think Virgil van Dijk's definitely, certainly in the running for me. If I was going again, I probably would go for Van Dijk. But I just think Salah had that spell. It wasn't just that he was the top goal scorer. I mean, if he scores tonight, and listen, he'll be frustrated. He's captain Liverpool for the first time. Liverpool have lost, and he had that chance, I think, to go level with Alan Shearer and Andy Cole on goal involvement. He can still sort of, fix that for himself at the weekend, but I think that'll frustrate him. So it's not just him being the top goal scorer. He's having, like, one of his best ever seasons in terms of numbers.
It's actually interesting you should say that, because if you said to me, which Liverpool player would you, with those three that were running down the contracts, which one would you think that they would miss most? It would be Van Dijk. I think, he's the biggest impact, I think, on Lou, just of his leadership and just what he does for the team. But in terms of just sometimes the goals, the assists, they always catch the eye and those players win the trophies.
You've also agreed on the best young player, an 18-year-old from Arsenal, Miles Lewis-Skelly. What is it about him? I mean, this has been a real breakthrough season for him, halfway through the season. What is it about him?
Yeah, because, I mean, he probably hasn't played a full season. I don't know what his numbers are games-wise, but when I think of young players, and I think the list has come out, hasn't it, a week or so ago.
He wasn't on it.
I know, but there's players who are like 23, 24. Now, I think if you're 20, 21, for me, that's young. But he's only 18. That's proper young. That's when we've both probably got into big football clubs at 18 and you're a baby. The thought that, you could win Young Player of the Year at that age, that's something like Michael Owen does, or maybe Wayne Rooney, absolute superstars at that age. And I couldn't believe he wasn't on that list. And the reason I went for him was, because there was obviously other people in the running, it was more how well he's played in big games that I've watched, against Man City, against Liverpool, against sort of in the Bernabeu. It was more 5 or 6 big performances in big venues where I thought, I remember going to those places at 23, 24, and that was a lot for me to do that. And to actually go there and play well, you almost felt like you needed to be in your peak to go to these big stadiums and play really well and sort of feel comfortable and maybe not dominate the opponents, but feel like I can go there and be one of the best players. Be doing that at 18. I watched him in the Bernabeu. I was like, wow. It was just off the... I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than the Bernabeu. What's bigger after that in terms of a stadium that you want to go to?
Potentially playing in a World Cup, which is something that maybe Thomas Tuchel is already thinking about with him.
Yeah, that's been a massive problem position for Arsenal. Tierney, Zinchenko, Kivio's played there, Tomiyasu's played there, Timber's gone there, and he's gone and he's made it look like it's been his. It's like he's always been there. And that's the biggest compliment you can play to a young player, is that they slot in. And look, Saka's done it for Arsenal as well in the last few years. But to go in that position and do what he's done, and like Carragher says, the ability to take the ball in the biggest games, in tight situations, and it's incredible what he's doing. And they've got to change the criteria on this young player of the year. There's players in there that are 23, 24 years of age. Gravenberch, I think, was 23 this week, so he was 22 for obviously most of this season. He comes close, but when you think young player, you do think 18,
I think the criteria is 23 at the start of the season.
It's just not right, though, is it? That's 23. I mean, I know
23 feels a bit old.
It is too old for what you would class as being a young player. 23 lads can play 200, 300 games.
I think starting the season at 21 and you're 22, you finish the season at 22 feels, for me, that's probably where the
Can he be an England
should
regular then, in terms of next season
definitely.
and the World Cup?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. The way he's playing, the maturity that he shows, the way in which he handles both sides of the games, the defensive part and the attacking part. He goes into midfield, all the things you want from a modern fullback. He's tenacious, he's aggressive, he understands the position well, he can defend one-on-one. He doesn't get done on the back post as much as you might think he would with his height. All the things you look for in a fullback, he's got it. So he's a fantastic start to his career. All
right, best signing, and there's been a little bit of disagreement on this. We asked the guys to take into account value as well on their spend. So, Jamie, you went with Dean Howson, who's already been snapped up and he's on his way to Real Madrid. 50 million from Juventus, on the way to Real Madrid for 50. That was the release clause.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Milenkovic and him, and I think when we come to the next one, I've gone the other way around. But the reason I went for him on that one is because almost what he's done in terms of signing for Bournemouth. So he's signed for 15 million and he's gone for 50 million within a season, and watching him play this season, wow. I mean, play off both feet. He's already obviously played for Spain now as well. He's so cool and calm.
What's interesting, Jamie, I think when we talk about centre-backs, a lot of managers still would be resistant to young players playing in that position on the pitch. Has he sort of bucked that trend and shown that age doesn't matter?
I'm not saying it. No, I don't think managers are wrong. I think that just shows how special he is. You know, the managers aren't wrong about goalkeepers and centre-backs playing at a certain age, whether it's 19, 20, 18. What is he? Is he 19
19.
now? 19. Mm. But, and for the majority of the season, I think he was 18. To play in that position at centre-back, it's like, wow. I mean, I played very early at times at centre-back. It was too much for me. You know, you make a mistake, you're learning the game. But he looks so cool, composed. Real Madrid at that age for 50 million. I mean, you've got to be something pretty special, and he is.
Milenkovic, £12 million. Gary.
Yeah, unbelievable signing. I think, to be honest, I was similar, but there's sometimes when you've watched one player a little bit more than the other, just purely through what games that you get given, you just think you feel a bit more of a bias towards them. And Milenkovic, I think the season that Forest have had, his dominance in that team, the way in which they defend, he's so critical to it. They defend the box a lot, so there's a lot of demand. We saw the stats before the game about how much defending they have to do.
Did you think some of Forest signings go a little bit under the radar?
They do.
I mean, did with me.
I think about Milenkovic. The one thing I would say about him is I think Forest suits him down to the ground. Sometimes when you sort of go and play for a Liverpool or an Arsenal, there is a lot more demand upon you in terms of...
Because he doesn't have to play high up the pitch.
You don't have to play high up the pitch. You don't have to be as good on the ball in terms of demands on the ball, but also your fullbacks usually go forward both at once. You might get left 2-on-2. There's an expectation to win every single week. Whereas with Forest, you're playing in a team that is quite compact. It suits him, but he's been a brilliant signing.
So we move on to best newcomer. And Jamie, you said already that you thought Milenkovic was the guy. We heard you talking about him earlier. Was there anything that you would add to what Gary was saying there?
No. I mean, to me, it was almost the same category in some ways. I just went the other way around because of, you know, the transfer fee Bournemouth are going to get. It could have easily gone the other way. But, yeah, two centre-backs, maybe a little bit of a bias because of my position.
On a slot, Gary.
Honestly, I think to win the Premier League in your first season, I know there's a couple of managers done it in the Premier League, sort of Mourinho and Ancelotti, I think, won it his first season, maybe Conte. But you're talking some of the greatest managers there that have done that. Arne Slot comes with not the same reputation. Speaking to Mo Salah on Friday, he said he actually corrected himself. He said not many people had heard of him. He said he wasn't, and he corrected himself and said basically what we all thought at the start: how can this guy take over from Jurgen Klopp? You know, he didn't look like he had the same level, anything like the same level of personality, but he's made up for it and more in terms of how he's compensated for it with his composure, a little bit of steel determination, some big decisions, how he's handled the 3 contract situations throughout the whole season. It's been a perfect coaching performance, and for me, yeah, just because purely I couldn't think of 2 different players, I thought I'll put Arne Slot in there as the best newcomer in the Premier League, winning the Premier League in your first season.
Most improved player, there is agreement again. Ryan Gravenberch, Jamie, why?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest surprise this season is not just him as a player, because a lot of players we've seen in the past have an average first season and they grow second season, but he's playing a completely different role. I mean, I watched him last season, wasn't quite sure about him. He looked like an attacking player, but he looked a bit leggy. He looked okay. He can run with the ball a little bit forward. I'm not quite sure what he is. He looked like he lacked intensity, really. And then he's gone into central midfield, a holding midfield position that Liverpool have been trying to sign someone in for about two or three seasons. They just keep missing out on players that they go for whatever reason. And it'd be interesting if Liverpool want to do that again this summer with somebody else, because I still think they probably need a player in that role. But I don't see anybody almost taking his role. I think he's sort of nailed that position now as that sort of number 6 in this Liverpool team.
Let's move on to best coach. And we've heard from you, Jamie, on Arne Slot tonight. But Gary, tell us about Nuno and why he's edged your vote.
Yeah, you could say Slot 100%, but because I put him as newcomer, I thought that Nuno was definitely worthy of the mention. The fact that, Carragher had them going down at the start of the season. I had them close to, they would have probably been my next team, in terms of sort of being down there near the bottom. So for him to have them where they are right now with a chance of Champions League football is absolutely sensational. So yeah, I've gone for him. But I think the manager of the year will be Arne Slot when it comes to the end of the season awards. And probably if I was pushed on that, I would say...
These are, aren't they?
Eh? No, I mean, the one, what's the main manager's award? The
LMA Awards.
The LMA Awards, yeah. I think the Slot will win it. But I think Nuno deserves a special mention. I'll just quickly on Gravenberch. I can't believe the improvement in him, though. I mean, I'm not going to put him in the same category as a young Vieira, but he has a little bit of a sort of feel about him in terms of how he plays. It's an unbelievable way in which he's improved.
Because you said you'd prefer Man United's midfield to Liverpool.
Honestly, I cannot believe when I watch Liverpool's midfield every single week. Szoboszlai, Jones, Gravenberch and McAllister. McAllister's a good player, but the other three, I can't believe.
This is taking me back to August.
I cannot believe the levels of performance that, to be fair, Arne Slot's got out of them. It's absolutely unbelievable.
When we were discussing this earlier, there was the invention of a new category. We were satisfied quite with best coach. We wanted best coaching performance as well in an individual game. So I think it was you that was driving this, Gary. So you wanted to go with Eddie Howe in the Carabao Cup final.
Yeah, I just thought it was an outstanding coaching performance. Liverpool obviously dominated the ball. Newcastle had far more shots. They controlled the game without the ball. Salah, I don't think had a shot or created a chance in the entire game, which I think is the first time that that's happened this season, or only time it's happened this season. Yeah, I thought they were outstanding on that day, on a day that I thought Liverpool would win. I never thought any other result would happen other than Liverpool winning. So for me, that was a great performance on that day.
I mean, when the category came up about 3 hours ago, it got me thinking. But I was thinking about Eddie Howe and that cup final, not for the reasons Gary's mentioned, but something he said after the game I thought was brilliant, where he said they'd been preparing for that game as soon as they got to the final, and they played Liverpool a few weeks before, and they almost did the opposite of everything they were going to do in the game. Isak never played. There's probably nothing wrong with him. Just leave him out. And I thought, wow, that's, you know, a manager thinking he's still got important league games, but from Monday to Friday we're working on the Liverpool game. The set piece they scored in the game from Dan Burn, they said they've been working on for weeks. So yeah, I thought it was really interesting the way Eddie Howe went about it. But I went for Iraola.
What was special about Bournemouth winning Newcastle?
I think Newcastle, were on a run of winning 6 on the bounce. It was at St James's Park, and I think it was the one where Bournemouth had maybe 7 or 8 players out, maybe even more actually, and they absolutely battered Newcastle. I think we highlighted on Monday Night Football the performance of Ryan Christie. I remember Carragher flying down the left wing, putting a great ball in as well. And, you know, to go to there and win 4-1 at that stage, I think it was a brilliant, as I said, result and performance.
Biggest overachievers. There has been a bit of a theme you might notice here. Nottingham Forest get the vote from both of them. Biggest underachievers. Drum roll, please. Manchester United. Well, I suppose winning a trophy might slant things. Could it on Wednesday if this was Thursday morning and United had just got their hands on the Europa League?
It's a silver lining around a very dark cloud.
Poetic.
You know, it is. I mean, United winning to win a trophy should never be disrespected, and it'll be a brilliant achievement to win 2 trophies in 2 years. 3 trophies in 3 years. 3 trophies in 3 years is an incredible achievement in a season in an era where United have been really poor, but to be where they are in the league is incredible.
Are you encouraged, Gary, by reports that Matheus Cunha could be on his way to Manchester United as soon as the season is over?
I think he's a good player,
over, and that Liam Delap is strongly considered to be.
And more Cunha, yes. I think to see someone with that sort of level of running ability, legs, I think it suits Old Trafford. Delap, I think, has got a level of potential and ability. My fear is that the expectation of him coming, the pressure on another young player to be the lead that line for Manchester United. We've already seen sort of Xerxes and Højlund this season struggle. So I think that one just needs to be sort of with a little bit of.
Do you think the timing is significant, the speed with which they look to be doing things?
Well, the season has been over, in essence, in the Premier League for quite a while, so there's no reason why they wouldn't have been able to plan. Ruben Amorim has a specific style of play, and I think it's quite clear he wants massive upheaval in the squad. So I think he's just basically, they've got a lot of business to do, and that's not just bringing players in, that's getting players out. So, you know, look, but signing players who've got legs, who can run, who can sort of, you know, improve what they've currently. They need forwards, obviously, but they need players in every single position. And I think Amorim will want an absolute wipeout of the current squad. So there's a lot of business to do, so that's why they've had to start early. I'm
guessing we could have put Spurs in this category as well, Jamie. Who do you think comes out on top on Wednesday?
I think Man United will win. Yeah. Spurs have got injury problems as well, as they have done all season, but I just think Manchester United, as Gary says, have an ability to still win games. They beat Man City in the FA Cup final last season. The club have still got that feeling, supporters going there. I think the United supporters will go there expecting to win because they're Man United, and I don't think Spurs supporters will. Spurs can win. It has been a season of sort of, you know, underdogs winning cup finals. We've seen that, obviously, domestically in England. But I think if Tottenham went in front, United could still win. I think if Man United went in front, I couldn't see where Tottenham would find something to go and win the game.
I think United will win, just for the reasons Jamie said, that there's some players in there like Bruno and Casemiro, I think, that'll just feel that occasion, want it, need it in their lives. And I agree with the belief. I know that history is something that gets pointed towards, but there is sometimes a feeling, although I had it earlier in the season when I went to watch the Carabao Cup final, I thought Liverpool would absolutely be lifting that trophy and Van Dijk would be up on that podium, and they weren't. So there's got to be a guarding against that. But I do feel confident United on Wednesday just getting through this game.
Let's hope you can remember more games than you can goals. So you got League Cup final again. But Jamie, the special night that it was for Everton, really, this one.
Yeah, I mean, the Merseyside derby means a lot to me. It was the last one at Goodison. There was a lot built up about it. I think the game had been postponed earlier. A night game as well, which is always, whether it was at Anfield or Goodison. And it was a night when that equaliser went in that, I mean, that was a blow. You know, watching that go in. But it was also, I think it was a great night almost for everybody, a great game, should I say, for everybody except Liverpool. But it turned out all right, Liverpool won the league. But it was a great night that Everton didn't lose the last derby at home. It was an iconic goal that we remember forever. As I said, the supporters are on the pitch. Great scenes for them. Arsenal probably thought, okay, the title's back on. It was a bad one for Liverpool, but it ends up turning all right for Liverpool in terms of the league. So for me, for the last Merseyside derby at Goodison to almost finish in the draw, and both teams were level, I think, on games there. So that's one of the moments, and that Tarkowski goal, I think, was one of the standout moments of the season.
You really loved that Carabao Cup final, didn't you?
Didn't you hear him on commentary?
It was a high
Take it to the corner, take it to the corner. Newcastle players.
No,
honestly.
do you know something? It was the surprise. I think the performance by Newcastle was incredible, but do you know something? Most of all, it was the fact that the Newcastle fans and what it meant to them, seeing them at the end of the game, just up behind me. It was like the screaming, that sort of the veins popping out of the necks, the tears, everything that you want to see. I'm sure Crystal Palace fans were the same. On Saturday, it's special. They haven't won a trophy for, I think, 50 years, 70 years domestically, was it? So yeah, it was an incredible day. That you don't normally see shocks that much anymore. They don't seem to come around as much, and we've seen a couple in the cup finals this season.
Right, onto the teams of the season. Who are the best players that deserve their shot to be the chosen 11 for Gary and Jamie? Well, they've agreed on 5 of them. Their specialist subject is, of course, the back four. And we've heard a bit about Van Dijk and Milenkovic. Let's talk Munoz, who again was such a star for Crystal Palace in the FA Cup final win over Manchester City. Clearly, you think he's the best right back in the league?
Yeah, I think he's been outstanding, and it's certainly not recency bias, Dave, as you know, that I put 7 or 8 of my team in the group chat on Friday before the cup final, and he was one of them.
Am I not on the group? 'Cause I didn't see it.
No,
that's on WhatsApp.
It's WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Doesn't do WhatsApp. And I've been impressed with him every time I see him play. I think we highlighted him when you talk about sort of wing, because he is a wing back, so he's probably going to get forward more than maybe the average fullback in the Premier League. But you always sort of thinking about Manchester United with this system and the players they're trying to find in these roles. He looks absolutely perfect. So I went for him, and it just helped that he was outstanding in the cup final as well.
€8 million from Genk 18 months ago.
Yeah.
When actually I don't know if you remember, but when we did our team of the half year point, he was in the stats team of the year, and it wasn't just because of the attacking numbers. He rated really highly on winning tackles and defensive duels as well.
And his reliability, he's played nearly all the games. I think a lot of the talented right backs in the league, and we know who they are, they've been unreliable. They haven't played a lot of football. Or they've played less games than him. I think he's played 35, 36 matches. So, yeah, for me, I just think, I've gone a little bit different this year. In the past, I've gone sort of quite sturdily with players maybe that have played for the bigger clubs. But this year, I've been a bit more eclectic, and he's one of my choices. Eclectic. Not electric.
He's electric.
Put another 50 pence in the meter, and let's have a look at the rest.
It's only Betty.
We all have a journey, Jamie.
I'm still on mine.
So this is Gary's team with the ones in white, the ones that are purely Gary's selection. So there's again a real Nottingham Forest theme with Seltz in goal. Kirkes might be on a journey of his own.
In the past, I would have gone for Riot or Alisson, thinking that they are probably the two best goalkeepers in the league from a point of view of just talent. But I just think you've got to respect what's happened this season at Nottingham Forest. In the past, I haven't used this criteria the way in which I have. I've gone for players who have been more sort of dominant over a 2 or 3 year period. But Sells, up until yesterday, had the clean sheet record. And I just think they've had such a special season. Kirkes, well, Liverpool are going to buy him.
Are they?
I would have thought so.
So he's 21, right?
Young,
yeah,
very young.
So how come he's not your player of the year if he's the best left back in the league?
Well, to be fair, he's a bit older than Lewis Skelly. Lewis Skelly's 18, so I just went for him just off that. But I think he's been over the season. He's been sensational, and I wanted to reward a Bournemouth player, to be fair, for what the season that they've had. Lewis Skelly, I think, definitely could have been in there, but he was young player of the year because he's 18.
What do you like about Tielemans?
I just think he's one of those players that... And Guimaraes and Tielemans, when you watch them play for Villa and Newcastle, I really like Villa and Newcastle as teams, the way in which they play football. So there's a lot that I like about...
Is that your sort of idea of how football should be?
I'm not a perfectionist in football terms, but I think that Villa and Newcastle, I like Liverpool as well in terms of their style. And that's why I was surprised before the game when Arne Slot said that the top 6, 7 teams played the same. I don't quite see that.
Just quickly, what's your idea then when you think about Villa and Newcastle?
I don't know, just a bit more, probably a bit more imperfect in the way in which they see the game. I know that Villa play out from the back, and they play out from the back well, but I just think there's a lot of electricity in the wide players, a lot of spontaneity in terms of what I know they are very methodical in some of the passing movements, but I like the way in which Guimaraes is a great player for Newcastle. He's such an influence on them. Gravenberch has been fantastic for Liverpool. Yeah, Declan Rice could be in. I mean, if you're saying to me now who would I want to bring to Manchester United, I'd say Declan Rice. Of course I would. But I just thought this season, the way in which those teams have played, those two players deserve to be.
Why do you single out Bruno from that Newcastle midfield then?
It could be Tonali. I like both of them. But I think Guimaraes has just got that touch more than Tonali. And I like both of them. I think they're a brilliant pair in there.
We'll see if Jamie has a Newcastle player, clearly not the same one, because it's a different name. And Mbumo as your wide forward.
I just went for stat. I think he's the third most involved in goals. Again, you think of what Brentford do. They go a little bit unsung. I know everyone respects Brentford, but they don't seem to get the mentions maybe of Bournemouth, Forest, Brighton. Brentford and what they're doing there, Thomas Frank's doing, is unbelievable. And the front players, Visser as well, fantastic. And Burmo, they've lit us up over the last few years when we've been down to watch them. And they always deliver, and I think that what he's done this season is special. I think he's fantastic. A player that I'd love to have in my team. You could go for Cunha, you could go for Morgan Rogers. Players like that have had great seasons as well, but I've just gone for him on numbers.
All right, on to Jamie's team then. Let's see Jamie's difference makers. He did go with Lewis Skelly and Alisson in goal. Tell us why Tonali.
No Gravenberch.
No. Tell us why Tonali.
I went for Tonali because Newcastle look like they're going to finish third in the Premier League this season. I don't think many people would have predicted that. They've won a trophy for the first time in 70 years. But they made a really average, or probably poor start to the season in some ways. And I don't think their season turned around until Eddie Howe put him in the holding role. Now, for a lot of the time he's been there, he'd been the attacking midfielder and Bruno'd been the holding. I think him going to the sitting midfield role, I think made a huge difference. Now, I could easily put Gravenberch in there. I was debating that, you know, right throughout the week when I knew it was the team of the season. Probably what just swung it was how dominant Newcastle were in the cup final. I I'm not saying I judged it off one game, but I wasn't quite sure. But I just thought how powerful they looked in midfield on that day, and they just ran over Liverpool.
So is McAllister the pick of the Liverpool midfield for you?
McAllister's been Liverpool's best midfield player this season. You know, Gravenberch got a lot of attention because he was fantastic at the start of the season, and also because he was new to the role, and it was a bit of a shock, and it was a surprise. But in terms of quality, in terms of Liverpool's midfield, McAllister's been Liverpool's best midfield player for 2 years, and the same again this season. And Declan Rice, I just think he's fantastic. Everyone will point to those 2 Real Madrid performances, but you know, even yesterday scoring a goal, I think it's his best season with goals and assists. I think he's not far off double figures for both now, so he's adding goals to his game, which was always the criticism. And he plays every game. I never really see him have a bad game. Yeah, I think he's fantastic.
Flexibility to your system, perhaps with Morgan Gibbs-White, he might.
Well, I don't.
That's being kind, isn't it?
No. Well, you've got 2 right wingers in yours. It's like having 2 left backs. And Mbumo plays on the right. So I don't think there is when you think of the right, you've got Mbeumo, you've got Salah, you've got Saka, like 3 like top, maybe someone else have missed. I think the league's missing a world-class left winger. I think when you look at Liverpool with Gakpo and Diaz, they're both good players. I wouldn't say they were great, or they're not Sadio Mane, if you like, or it's not Eden Hazard. We haven't really got
Gibbs
that.
White out there, though.
No, but he's playing floating. He's coming in from that. You know the way we both put Cunha in at halfway stage. So I'm going for Gibbs White. Every time I watch him, he's outstanding. He can got pace. He could play there. He has played there at times. And Pep Guardiola likes him. So that'll do for me.
Does he?
But if you read media
Allegedly.
reports, allegedly. Well, you said Carragher was going to Liverpool.
Because you told me.
OK, there is an alternative to both of these sides.
I mean, to be honest, I let Dave come in because I didn't want to start arguing here on your last month or your first appearance, I think, from the first show of the season. But how can you pick Lewis Skelly as young player there? Not kids.
No, to be honest, it's not bizarre at all.
It is very bizarre.
No, because I think he's a genuine young player. This idea of 21, 22-year-olds, an 18-year-old is young.
Yeah, but so he's 21.
I know, but 21 is young, but you're getting on to the...
You forgot Lewis Skelly.
At 20... How can I forget Lewis Skelly? I picked him literally 5 minutes before.
Well, guys, you've been getting on so well tonight.
No,
Come
but
on.
Lewis Skelly, to be fair, is a genuine young player who's broken for the first time this season. I just felt it was like, you know...
He's your first pick. So there is an alternative. This being Monday Night Football, there is a stats-heavy team of the season. And we sort of always try and look for the alternatives.
None of our players got in.
Well, that's the idea of this team.
Sorry, I was thinking, gee.
We try
He
to
doesn't know
find...
what alternate means, but he knows what electric means.
No, eclectic. Sorry.
Eclectic.
Sorry, I thought when you said... oh, my God. Sorry, apologies at home. When you say stats alternative, I was imagining that the top stats from Opta would get pick that team, not alternative, like as in every single player's got to be different.
So we've come up with the best attacking right back in the league in Alexander-Arnold, the Van Hecker, who makes more forward runs than any other centre-back. Dean Howson, we know about his incredible passing, and Anthony Robertson's lung-busting runs and his numbers with the
Casado has been good, by the way.
Dean Henderson, the best XG prevented in the Palace goal. Iwobi's attacking numbers are really strong for Fulham this season. Caicedo, most possession won in the Premier League this season. We know how well Cole Palmer started the team, has dropped off a little bit of late, but it's still more shot involvement than anybody else. Morgan Rogers is a receiver. He receives the ball more than any other player between the lines. Chris Wood, we know, is XG over performance is so strong, and his shot ratio his goal to shot ratio has been record breaking at times this season. He's just dropped back a little bit of late, and Cunha could be an interesting signing for Manchester United. Any of those tempt you?
Casado, to be fair, I think he's been very good for Chelsea. Rodgers has been good. I mentioned him before. He did come into my mindset of that the side where I put Mbeumo, because I think Rodgers had a fantastic season, but I think Mbeumo's numbers are just so big at a club like Brentford. Probably
Cunha. I had him in the first half of the season. Obviously, he had a ban. He missed a few games second half of the season, but you just look where Nottingham Forest are in the league compared to Wolves. Gibbs White was fantastic every time I watched him. Yeah, so he was that sort of floating player, an inside left pocket.
So let's finish on a thought on Cunha. If he is indeed on his way to Manchester United, what else do they need in that front three? If the Delap has been linked as well, there's even been talk of...
I don't think Delap should go to Man United.
You don't think he should, or do you think Man United should take Delap?
I just think... What happened to Højlund, sometimes I think when you're going from a team who've been relegated to... I know Man United are 16th, but it's Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. The eyes and ears, I just think that's such a big step. I know people might say it's from there to there in terms of league position, but Man United's a monster.
Do you think he's an upgrade on Højlund?
I do, but I don't think it... I just think almost that next step of like Everton or something. You know when you're going to play every week, you're going to be the main man, you're going to feel like one of the best players in the team. He's the best player in the team at Ipswich, everything goes through him. Go to like another club where you're that for 2 years, then go to that sort of Man United or whatever, a sort of team, sort of Champions League, or going to be trying to compete for that sort of level.
Yeah, look, if he comes, everyone will get behind him. He's a young player, but we've seen that, you know, United have been a very tough place to play over this last few years for a lot of very experienced players. So we're right to express caution in terms of what's happening at United, in terms of, you know, you need to be resilient, you need to be ready, you know, and I hope that he can go in there and get off to a good start. And have a great career there if that's the move that happens. But we are right to think about the things that have happened to other players. You know, Højlund's coming at 70 odd million, Xerxes coming at 30 odd million. What's going to happen to them? Do they just leave? We saw Sancho come in, we've seen Anthony come in. You know, Rashford's going to leave. It's interesting, and there's a good knowledge of Delap at United from the people who've come in at the sort of hierarchical level.
Jason Wilcox.
Yeah, so Jason Wilcox has worked with him. He's obviously having a big say on this. Omar Barada obviously at City as well. So they've done their, so they've had a good understanding of his game and a good understanding of his character, which is helpful. But Manchester United is a different animal, and I think that, you know, I hope he does well there.
Gary, thank you very much. Jamie, thank you. If you like their teams, do let them know on social media. If you don't, do let them know on social media. If you like the alternative team, do let me know. And if you didn't like it, let them know. You're going to hold them to account for the predictions they made at the start of this season with limited success, I would say. Well, I suppose Gary got closest on the champions.
1-0 up.
Hit the post with that one. I think you're about even in terms of, you know, I think you've got sort of 3 of the 4 possibly of the top 4. And obviously you've got Manchester United in the top 4, Gary. And Jamie, you've got them 5th, but Gary, you've got Spurs 6th. So there's a common theme here of these teams disappointing. We'll come to that a little bit more. Gary, you had Newcastle up there as European contender. West Ham, though, Jamie, I suppose, is one that's one of the biggest surprises of the season.
Yeah, I just thought with the manager coming in, I didn't think he was too different from David Moyes, but I just felt like he'd done a really good job at Wolves. Listen, he'd managed Real Madrid, he'd managed Spain. They had a real good go transfer-wise as well, West Ham in the summer, didn't he? I think spent as much as probably anyone, probably as much as Brighton, certainly, in the league. And, it's been a shocking season for them.
Relegation, you both went with Southampton and Leicester. Gary got the hat-trick of the 3 promoted clubs.
My predictions are bad, but his are worse than mine.
You're taking some pleasure in this.
Well, not really. It's just
it doesn't happen too often.
No, I don't think it does. Doesn't it? I think it does, because the one that's really glaring there is Nottingham Forest to be relegated. But there was probably a few people that
I thought they were going to get another points thing or something like that.
Is that what it was? You had not a lot of faith in Nuno.
No. And you know what? When you actually look at the players, not just because of watching them yesterday, they have actually got good players. I don't think this season's actually a fluke. Listen, it might be tough to do what they've done this season, next season, but they have got some really good players in the team.
Who do you think wins the player to watch, Minter or Timber?
Why have I chosen Timber at the start of the season as the player to watch? What mindset was it? What did he actually say? Do you remember?
I think he said to me, I think he might be the player to watch.
He might be. To be fair, I think it was to do with the fact that Arsenal had sort of maybe missed him, obviously, the previous season.
Do you think that's more bizarre than your manager to watch?
Well, the manager to watch, to be fair, I think I've been proven right on all 3.
Right, you picked 3?
Yeah, but what I'm saying...
You've got to be proven right on one of them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there were 3 young managers coming into the league almost, Ten Hag not coming into the league, but youngish, thinking there's a lot on them all. And to be fair, Slot's...
Ten Hag's older than Pep.
Slot sailed like you wouldn't believe. Ten Hag's been sacked and Maresca's on the edge of Champions League football and on the edge of not getting Champions League football. So, yeah, I don't think any of them 3 are wrong.
Room to improve.
So I think the homework is going to be room to improve. We'll do better next time.
It's time for our alternative end of season awards on Monday Night Football. We've both got different categories, and we're going to decide which is the winner, and it's got to be a joint decision, Gary. So I'm going to start with the best quote of the season. So I'm going to start with one from Roy Keane, which I really like. If you want loyalty, get yourself a dog. Show me the money from Daniel Sturridge. This is the type of game where after the game, babies are made.
Who said that? It's not something I'd say.
He's still on the job.
It
was Dimitar Berbatov again on Monday Night Football.
Wow.
So Harry Wilson scored 2 very late goals.
Harry Wilson goal's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say that I love Berber. I like Roy and Daniel as well. I've heard, the thing is, I'm not going to go for the Roy one because I've heard that quite a bit of the last 25 years.
Oh. No, if you want some new material, please.
Some new material, please. Yeah, I'm going to go with Berber one. I think that's a unique, rare quote that probably won't be repeated.
We're going to go with Berbatov. Yes, we'll go with that best quote. Okay. We're going to go for best dressed manager. What I want to ask you, though, do you like a manager who has the sort of... Do you like a manager... Because we say about tactics, we like managers who are adaptable. Do you like managers who stay in the same attire or change from week to week?
I like managers who stay in the same attire because they're very sure of themselves. He's relating there, and you can show it to about my 6 different outfits that I wore in Valencia. I tried everything: the tracksuit, the overcoat, the suit, the tie, the casual look. I tried a lot. I tried everything.
Right. What we've got here, we've got Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, he looks smart.
I think he looks smart, but you need to win as well, don't you think, if you want to look smart? Pep, I think it looks quite cool.
Pep looks cool, to be fair.
Russell Martin?
Oh, yeah, not for me. Yeah, he looks smart, but no, I mean, yeah.
But why?
No, I'm trying to think of other managers who I think...
Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank, has he got that Pep look where it's a bit like a round neck jumper and almost like...
Yeah, Pep can have his very good days, can't he, where he looks like he genuinely does wear sort of Mancunian sort of streetwear at times, doesn't he? So Pep does look cool sometimes. I think Arteta should be up there, really.
But does Arteta wear the same? Does he just wear all black every time?
He does black or blue, but he always looks immaculate on the side of the pitch.
Is that because he's good looking?
Maybe.
I'm going to go with Pep.
Yeah,
I always like look. He he wears different things with the same sort of idea.
Yeah, I think I'll go Pep.
Yeah, we'll go Pep.
We'll go Pep's roll neck.
So he hasn't got a season without winning anything. He has got his hands on something.
This is a consolation prize. Best dressed pundit: Roy Keane, Daniel Sturridge, Gary Neville, or Jamie Carragher. I'll tell you what, the most expensive dressed pundit is Daniel Sturridge. He wears that Prada gear every single week at phenomenal prices, I can assure you. And it always...
There are other brands.
Sorry. I mean, Daniel Sturridge will be upset not to win that, won't he? An Irishman, a Scouser and a man. Daniel.
I think Daniel's gear would be Marmite. I think you'd have the lover or you'd hate her.
I reckon if you had a poll of who is the best dressed pundit, I think Daniel would probably win.
Best press conferences from a manager.
Best press conference.
Mikel Arteta, Ruben Amorim, or Ange Postecoglou.
But it's not Arteta in terms. It's not Arteta. I mean, I think because of the tragedy of United and Tottenham this season in terms of the football performances, they've had some of the... I mean, I can't imagine how difficult it's been doing those 6 press conferences a week. The pre, the post, 3 games a week. They've been in Europa League. I mean, they must...
Are you talking about both of them?
Both of them have done 6 press conferences a week. I know that run. It is horrible. In a time where you're losing football matches, I think Amorim has given some unbelievable quotes.
I do.
The worst Manchester United team in history. He even said himself that he'd be under pressure in a couple of weeks. So he'd come out with some really honest, like, unbelievable... I
think Amorim's great for us.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he gives you something in every press conference. In fact, I think you said something earlier in the season. He was almost that time. He was like a pundit himself.
Yeah.
He was saying so many quotable things.
I think that's why I hope that he does. I mean, not for more reason than one, but I hope he does succeed because he's a good bloke, isn't he?
We'll go for Ruben Amorim.
Ruben Amorim, yeah. Best wind-up: Jamie Vardy, Erling Haaland, Miles Lewis-Skelly, and Everton fans. Blue flares at Anfield. I love that one.
But you know, the Liverpool fans got them back.
Did they yesterday?
That's good banter. That's good.
I did like that one, the blue flares at Anfield.
I'd go with
Lewis Skelly
because he was so young. People were thinking, well, I was thinking like a young
not do
player.
Something with Saka? Was that last season?
Throwing the darts.
Oh, yeah, to Roy, didn't he? Maddison did that one to Roy, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go with Lewis Skelly.
Yeah, we'll go Lewis Skelly.
Best debate of the season: who is the bigger club, Liverpool or United? Me and you. Are Spurs entertaining or naive? Trent's future debate: I know more than you, Jamie to Gary. I mean, just 'cause he's from Liverpool, you know what I mean? Didn't know that much, did he?
I mean, you told me 5 years ago. You told me 5 years ago Mo Salah was leaving. I know he's leaving. I know he's leaving. I know what hotels he stays. I know he's leaving. It's
a miracle that he stayed at Liverpool.
And you're interviewing a few days ago, telling him how great he is and how small he is.
Who is the bigger club, Liverpool or United? I mean, is that a debate? Is that a debate?
It's not anymore, is it?
But is that a debate? No,
he had this before. He had this before. This was hilarious.
Right.
He actually owned up to it. Right. He said it on TV.
Oh my God.
He said it on NBC. You know, his new friends.
Cara.
He does his little bits to it.
Cara. Who's the bigger football club, Manchester United or Liverpool?
I tell you how you tried to work it out.
Answer the question. Answer the question. Right? Who's the most successful club?
Yeah.
At this moment in time, 100% is Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah.
You can't deny it's factual.
Yeah.
Right? Who is the bigger club?
So what, you've got a bigger stadium?
Oh my goodness. Who is the bigger club? Can't answer the question.
Say
Liverpool the bigger club. Say Liverpool the bigger club.
Right,
Say
the best club,
Just say
right?
it. No, say bigger club. Who is the bigger club?
Who's the bigger club?
Say it.
Listen,
Go on, say Liverpool. Go on, say
how
it.
can Manchester
he's
United
answering.
talk themselves about being this biggest club when you don't even win European Cups? You're 16th in the league. Stop believing. You say it that much that you go, we're the biggest club in the world. You say the world. You actually say the word and you believe it.
Who is the
Your
biggest
arrogance
club?
is unbelievable.
Who is the biggest club, Liverpool or Manchester United?
I think it's probably 50-50.
Oh.
But we've got more trophies now. We're without doubt the better club.
Okay.
You've only got
I'm
two
big
managers
enough
who've won trophies.
I'm big enough to say
without those two managers, there's absolutely nothing.
I'm big enough to sit here and say it, the most successful club in English football.
What do you mean you're big enough? It's a fact. You don't have to be big.
No, I'm saying who's the most successful club at this moment in time in English football history is Liverpool.
Yeah.
Who is the biggest club in this country?
I think it's a toss of a coin.
Oh dear. I think it's Manchester United. I mean, we're not.
But what I'm saying
this
is,
could be the best debate.
I know, but what I'm saying is, you clarified who the biggest were. Who did you ask?
ChatGPT.
That's how Gary Neville does his punditry. When he's not sure, he asks ChatGPT. That says it all.
Well, to be fair, it's got a brain.
Yeah.
A collection of intelligence.
And that's why you need
a collection of intelligence coming together. There's not much collection of intelligence here, so we basically have to put intelligence together. But I think United are the bigger club. They are.
Listen, I'll concede. If
there you go.
Okay.
So is that the best debate then?
No, what I'm saying is, if someone says to me, Man United are the bigger club, but we're the better club, most successful club, I'll shake hands on that.
Better. Remove better. Remove better.
Well, we are. You're
the most successful. Remove better.
And better run. Everything. You've had two managers who were unbelievable.
Say that all based on 5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
You lost some apples being got relegated. I mean, what type of football club does that? You're now 16th in the Premier League. I used to be embarrassed to go out the house when I played for Liverpool and we were 7th. They're 16th.
You've won 2
leagues. It's unbelievable.
You've won 2 leagues in 30
Unbelievable.
You've won 2.
We won 20 in 100 years. You can look at it whatever you want.
You've won 2 leagues in 20.
Yeah,
in 30
and you won 19 in 100 years.
Yeah. Don't get too carried away.
Or 20.
We will be back.
Where are your European Cup?
What's the best debate?
I think we just had it. Well, what was the Trent debate one? Where you just start making stuff up when you forget what you said.
The Trent debate was basically around what I said. And to be fair, I've asked it again. Does Trent feel the love in this country and around Liverpool? I said, does he feel the love? Does he really feel the love?
You're one of the people who didn't give him the love.
That's not the question. It's a different point. Does Trent feel the love in this country and around Liverpool? Does he feel the love? And that was the debate. And you said, he 100% does feel love, 100% does feel love. And I thought, well, does he? Does he feel the love? I'm not sure. And I know more about Trent than you. Fair enough.
Well, you've interviewed him, haven't you?
I spent a few hours with him a few years ago for the old one.
Yeah.
He chose something. He impressed me a lot.
Yeah, you were mesmerised by him, weren't you?
Smart, intelligent, switched on, knows where his future lies.
Just do an interview with Gary Neville and he's mesmerised by you. He'll love you forever.
Welcome back to SportLab, the home of next-level football insights, where we break the game down to the last thread on Pep's roll-neck sweater. Tonight, we dive into the most entertaining end-of-season showdown off the pitch, football's alternative awards. From Berbatov's baby-making quotes to Daniel Sturridge's Prada-powered punditry, we're breaking down all the winners, the wild cards, and the best moments you didn't see coming. This is football, unscripted, unfiltered, and definitely unorthodox. Let's go. Roy Keane went full Roy Keane. If you want loyalty, get yourself a dog. Daniel Sturridge delivered Hollywood, show me the money. But it was Dimitar Berbatov, ever the maverick, who stole the show with this poetic masterpiece. This is the type of game where after the game, babies are made. It was random, ridiculous, and unforgettable. You're not getting that again, said Neville. They weren't wrong. Berber wins. Best dressed manager. Fashion met function as the duo debated dugout attire. Ruben Amorim's slick look was noted. Arteta's all-black consistency admired. But one man walked the catwalk and the touchline in equal measure, Pep Guardiola. Roll necks, minimalist elegance, Mancunian streetwear, he's the manager with a mood board. He tries different things, and it works, said Neville. Pep takes it. Best dressed pundit. Keane, classic, brutal. Neville, versatile. Carragher, let's not go there. But Daniel Sturridge strutted to the title. armed with luxury labels, Prada shades, and price tags to match. Expensive, but he owns it, quipped Carragher. No contest. Daniel wins the catwalk. Best press conference performer. The season may have broken his squad, but it didn't break Ruben Amorim's honesty. From calling this United side the worst in history, to openly predicting his own job pressure, Amorim spoke like a pundit, unfiltered and fearless. He gave you something in every presser, Neville said. Awarded for honesty under fire. Best wind-up. Everton fans lit blue flares at Anfield. Maddison had his dartboard moment, but it was Miles Lewis Skelly, a teenage disruptor, who had the confidence to ruffle feathers and win respect. He's so young, that's what made it great, said Carragher. Youthful mischief gets rewarded. Best debate. There was the Trent's love conversation. A heated clash on whether Spurs are naive or just fun. But nothing came close to the heavyweight battle. Liverpool versus Manchester United. Who's the bigger club? A shouting match drenched in stats, history, and bias. You've won 2 leagues in 30 years. You've only had 2 managers. You're 16th. You're arrogant. In the end, Neville begrudgingly gave Liverpool the most successful crown, but clung to United's status as the biggest. It wasn't a conclusion, it was a draw in extra time. Best debate by a mile. From Pep's sideline swagger to Carragher and Neville arguing like it's a Champions League final, the alternative awards prove that football's real drama doesn't always come with a whistle. Make sure to like, subscribe, and drop your winner in the comments, especially if you've got a better quote than Berber or a louder debate than Liverpool versus United. This is SportLab, where the stats matter, but the stories matter more. See you next time, where the real game always kicks off after full time.